this new Ghost single is really good. What's up, metal and heavy music fans? Lots of great singles coming out this week. It looks like more on the way too, but right now we are talking about Ghost with Twenties, and I'm really loving this song. Like, I gotta say, I've never been a Ghost fan, like really all the way up until this point. I've always kind of ignored them. No real particular reason. I just didn't have a big interest, and anytime their albums were coming out, there were just other kind of heavier albums I was more interested in at the time. But I decided this would be the year that I would change that. I've gone back and I've listened to the entire discography, gearing up to do a full tier list once the new album drops. And I'm liking what I hear, but I gotta say, I think 20s may be my favorite song so far, or at least one of them. Maybe not like number one, and it's too early to say, but I'm really just enjoying it. It's super heavy is like the main thing. Like, this is one of probably, Ghosts get memed on and kind of joked about all the time because, like, are they even really a metal band? Do they deserve these metal awards because they're not really like metal or whatever? This song is inarguably metal. This is a metal song. I think this is one of, if it's not one of the best songs they've ever done, the Metal Meltdown in the Discord said it's at least one of their most inventive, and I would say definitely one of their heaviest, easily. First off, the opening reminds me of, like, the beginning of a Flesh God Apocalypse song, which is fantastic. I am absolutely loving the brass. Every album these guys seem to step up the production value, and this one seems to be no different, because this is a very symphonic track. Like, you've got some really strong brass instruments just like blowing your ears out in the beginning for this very strong orchestral effect, really amplifying the already cinematic elements that go hand in hand with this band. And by the way, you should check out my discussion with Forge Master Metal Reviews too, where we were ranking 15 modern metal bands, and there's a reason why Ghost ended up really high on that list, and we had a lot of positive things to say about them and all the exciting things that they're doing with their music and their stage show and everything. Just a great example of a band that's doing something interesting that I feel like you can respect even if you don't enjoy the music. But back to the song, you've got this big booming opening, and then it kind of settles into this very sort of raspy, insidious kind of vocal line alongside this very clanky bass, these chugging guitars, again, these more metal sounding guitars, and very punctuated drumming. And the instrumentation in particular really reminded me of like Angel Dust era Faith No More. This is just like a really strong energy of that flowing through the music. And then even Tobias's vocals kind of have like that wilder Mike Patton energy to them. Like, they're not like spastic, like this isn't Jizzlob or anything, but again, raspy, insidious, kind of, I'm thinking some of the stuff he's done with like Tomahawk too, like that kind of style.
Listen up, action man, set controls for the heart of the land.
And speaking of which, I feel like this is yet another time I feel like Mike Patton would be a perfect guest performer on a Ghost song. Like, Mike just fits on everything, which is why I bring him up all the time. I think he's just one of the best vocalists of this generation, and I would love to see him do a guest spot on one of these. But anyways, this then segues into the more melodic chorus, which is very infectious, with these little like backing vocals that somebody in the Discord really did not like and said that they were like kind of squeaky, and I could totally see that, but I think it works. I think it adds to like the camp. I think it ties into that Faith No More aspect too, where there's this more kind of like experimental, purposeful weirdness to the whole thing that gives it a certain almost like Tim Burton-y kind of energy, I guess you could say.
We'll be soaring in the skies of babies in the 20s.
And then on top of that, you've got this very 80s hair metal kind of guitar solo that totally took me back to watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, and there's that mall scene where they use the solo from Extreme's Play With Me, which I absolutely love that song. And that, I've talked a lot about different entryways to metal music, and I don't think I've mentioned that one yet, but that was another big one for me, is I love Bill and Ted, and every time that song came on, I didn't know who it was, but I was like, man, that guitar is just insane. And it really stuck with me, and it wasn't until years later that I looked up who it was. But yeah, I'm getting some of that. It's not as insane as that, but just those same kind of like just 80s metal kind of energy on that. And then on top of that, after the solo's over and the instrumental's going, Tobias even throws in a little Tom G. Warrior-esque, like it's such a little thing, but it's fantastic. It's just chef's kiss. Love it. Everything about this song, really fun. I like it a lot. Like, just a really enjoyable time. Again, I think it's among my favorites in their catalog. Thus far, I need time for the music to like really sink in, but it makes me more excited for this album too. Like, I was already kind of pumped after listening to their discography, because I do feel like each album kind of has built on the last one with some up and downs here and there. But overall, yeah, I'm counting myself kind of turning into a bit of a Ghost fan. Probably not like my go-to band. I wouldn't say that they're going to become one of my favorite bands, but this song in particular really excites me to continue to dig into what they've got here and see what the full album has in store. So yeah, very campy, very theatrical, very Ghost. If I were to grade this thing, which I didn't really do with my Tool song, because I just the less said about that at this point, the better. I would give this like a 9 for enjoyability, not quite a 10. Like, there's maybe some additional things it could do that would push it up into that level, but pretty high, pretty darn high. And then musicianship, I'd give it like a 9 in that territory as well. Like, it may not be the most technical thing, but it's pretty complex. Like, there's a lot of layers going on. The production sounds incredible. Again, I love the symphonic elements, the additional instrumentation that they put into it, and the way that they've taken all of these different styles and kind of put them together in this kind of Frankenstein metal monster, where it's like these different eras of metal are all represented in cool and different ways. And then in terms of innovation, I'm going to give it like an 8. Give it like an 8. I could almost give it a 9 in this realm as well, I think, because it is very unique. Like, I haven't heard a song like this year, and I think it's even kind of unique and special for a Ghost song within their own discography, so it's a step up for them. And just like really in the entire scope of things, yeah, it's interesting, and I love music that kind of stands out and is a little bit different. Sometimes I do just want, corpse grinder, meat and potatoes, death metal, and just like, bang my head to that. But most of the time I feel like I'm always on the hunt for something a little bit weird and strange. Speaking of which, shout out to, there is a single from the new Without Waves album also premiering, and you should check out them as well. If you like weird stuff, kind of like later the Dillinger Escape Plan, but mixed in with just like some post-metal and post-rock vibes and a lot of different genres all kind of mashed into one, then definitely check out Without Waves. The new single's called 7, but I'm looking forward to talking about that album as well. But I think that'll... I just got sidetracked again. I didn't finish my grades. So yeah, 9, 9, 8. We're looking at like a really strong B+ for 20s, and that'll do it for now. Check out some of these other videos especially if you're new on the channel. I got plenty for you to check out here, but that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.